Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love. Incredible guests the world over with amazing insights. They've often been through some sort of personal transformative journey, and they are quite often giving service to others today. They're international best-selling authors, whether it's Amazon, New York Times. We've had one Super Soul Sunday guest. They're physicians, psychiatrists, quite often traditional healers, a ton of different modalities. I think we have 25 countries represented. We've had a White House physician to the US president, Rear Admiral retired in the US Navy, the youngest Delta Force operator, an Australian actor, Sea Patrol. If you look at Amazon today, check out Sea Patrol. Holistic, fun, a little bit of military, down under excitement. But Ian Stenlake was just great on the show. Everyone's great on the show. And speaking of which, we just have like one of the coolest plugged in, down to earth, and I don't think that's exaggerating it at all, guests coming on. She's got two books out from 2014. She's really connected to nature, and that's an understatement. Connected to the cosmos, and that's an understatement. She's done tons of interviews, tons of speaking engagements domestically and probably abroad. I'd like to introduce Arla Collett Williams in Southeast Oklahoma. Since the age of 6, she's been having very special experiences. I'm purposely not saying what they are. Um, but again, hyper intuitive, but I would argue that that intuitiveness isn't something that's a separate thing. It's more of just a connectedness to all there is, nature, the universe, and all the loving beings in and around us. And I think that's the better way to say it. She's a navigator of this, an ambassador of this. She's here to remind us that it's not about thinking at all. You can let go of fear, worry, rejecting, resisting, reacting for at least 5 minutes and enjoy this more. And that's what I think I would like to do for her intro is just say, she's an ambassador of the heart. When you hear her speak, it's from the heart. And that's what makes Arla so fantastic. Arla, thank you for coming on Angels, Positivity, and Love. You're just a treat, a delight. You haven't even been a show guest yet, and I'm already like gushing all over you.
I'm a pretty good gusher too. So, oh my gosh, thank you so much for such a wonderful introduction. Um, I love it. I love it.
Okay, now look, you literally know how to take things in stride. And that's another good word for today. But you know how to take things in stride. You stay calm, cool, collected. You stay in your heart. You're very plugged into nature. When you go camping, it's often just the cot, very basic camping. You're connecting. Can you give us your own intro? Because I think it's evolved over time a little bit. You've been having experiences since age 6. There's a lot of people around you. There's an entire communities established around a lot of the experiences you're having. And yet, I would argue you keep it very real, you keep it simple, and you keep it real simple.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Well, since I was a little girl, I uh, knew about so many things. I talked to all kinds of beings that were in the woods. From the time I could walk, I was running off to go to the woods and play with whoever was there. And at any given time, it could be just about anything because our world, when your heart is open, is totally wondrous. You are not in a box, you are not even near a box, and that open heart brings all of those beings to you. And, I tell people all the time, shift your paradigm, open your heart, connect to your brain, and you will begin the most wondrous journey that you've ever been on. Um, I have guides that I worked with for a long time, the ancestor grandmothers, who I see as two ancient women. They are hilarious in how they deal with me. And they've been with me for so many lifetimes, I wouldn't even guess how many. Um, I have Kashima, who is an ancient of what people call Sasquatch. He is what I call a teacher. but I actually call him grandfather when we are talking because his energy is so much of a grandfather to me that that's the highest respect I can pay him, is to call him grandfather. Um, it's just amazing. I have star beings that I'm working with now. There is a group um, that I'm working with. There are some that are always connected to me working on this. And then there are others that come in from time to time. And what we're doing is connecting to the earth, and each one has a place in working with a physical part of the earth in helping to rebalance and give strength and support to those elements. We know here the physical elements of earth, fire, air, and water, but there are 5 elements that they talked with me about. The last element that they talk about is space. And it's not like outer space, it is the space. It is what covers completely everything. And so, what they are doing is working within that and physically working with the Earth Mother and helping her. They are also, by doing many things, helping to raise the consciousness of humanity, which is such a wonderful thing that if your heart eyes are open, you're going to see this in your life every day. The consciousness of humanity is rising. And that excites me. And, I'm not a gloom and doom person to begin with. I was a joyous, laughing child, and I'm still pretty much that child. Life is so wondrous that I just hang on to it and go with the flow, of what's being brought to me. The star people that I'm working with, plus Kashima, and an ascended master has come and is working with this group as well, and that's Sanar Kumara. So it's a varied group that has come together, and it's been such a learning for me in so many ways about them, but mostly about myself. And I'm so thankful, for that. They shared with me an actual light code activation, which is literally me with my outdated camera videoing these lights as they are transmitting them. And this wasn't in the sky, this was in front of me on the earth, about 18 yards in front of me, and I started at about 2 foot off the ground. This is an actual thing that happened. And there's so much surrounding that that brought that, but they knew I would share it, and I would share it in a good way. And that's what I'm doing. If you haven't watched the Flash of Beauty Paranormal Bigfoot, it's an amazing documentary. And my interview is there. I think that's how Michael found me. but it just talks about, my life and with them. They are amazing beings. They are star beings as well. They came from the stars when they came here. We're all a bit of the star being. So I'm sharing the things that I've learned physically, actually, from um, the some call them Sasquatch, some call them Bigfoot. There's many, many, many terms for what they're called. What you call them is totally up to you as long as it's with respect. It's not a problem what you would call them. They're not hung up on a name or something being used disrespectfully when it is not being used disrespectfully. My first encounter that I actually remember as an experience with them was I was 6. I was at my grandmother's. I was sitting on the ground playing in the dirt. I had flowers and sticks and rocks and things and was making different kinds of, I would make houses or just lay things out and look at them. So I heard someone walk up. I thought it was my grandmother. I looked up and it was a young juvenile male Bigfoot. And I looked at him. I knew he was a hairy kid. I knew he was a kid. I knew he was hairy. And I knew he was a boy, but I didn't have a reference for truly what he was at that age. So we just kind of stared at each other for a little while. He jumped up, uh, walked off. Then I jumped up and went in and told my grandmother what I'd seen. And I asked her, I said, "What was that, Granny?" And she said to me, "What do you think it was?" She didn't tell me anything right then. She wanted me to think about what I had seen. And that's basically how I was taught growing up with anything that I saw. And I wanted to talk to her about it. But then at a point after that, she began to teach me about them because she knew about them herself. She was raised in the Boston Mountains in Arkansas and spent the majority of her time when she could off in the woods, like I did. And so she was my main teacher, through all the years of growing up. It wasn't like we had lessons, this is how it is. Maybe I would ask her a question about something, and she would always ask my opinion of it before she would even tell me anything. I could talk about anything. It did not matter what it was, what I saw, what I thought. She always taught me to be respectful to whatever it was I came across and to introduce myself as you would anybody that you might want to get to know. And so I wasn't brought up with fear at all of anything. And, I was that little girl that was laying on her bed and heard something under the bed. Well, I leaned over the bed to see what was going on under my bed because I wasn't raised in fear of things. Um, so she was so instrumental in helping me with that. It was interesting with my mom. My mom never wanted anything to do with it. Of course, growing up, we were taught you don't just talk about them in public. You can talk about them with family or, friends that you knew, but you just didn't talk about them. And she wanted nothing to do with it. And so it was just a few years before she passed. We were talking about things when I was a little girl, where we lived, and, and different times. And she said, Arla, do you remember that time and she on Elder Street that you were sitting on the bed talking to something outside? And I said, oh yeah, Mom, I remember that. And the reason I remember it is because she was in the closet getting clothes for the next day, and she heard me talking to somebody. And that wasn't unusual for me. But sitting on the bed, she come out of the closet and she looked at the window, which I was facing. The window was raised, it was just a screen. And she looked and she screamed for my dad. She said, Arliss, there's a dirty, hairy man outside, and Arla's talking to him. And, we talked about that, and she got quiet. And then she said, do you think that was a Bigfoot? And I said, well, Mom, what do you think? And she got quiet again and she said, oh, I saw a Bigfoot. And I said, yes, Mom, I think you did. But at 3, I didn't recognize it as a Bigfoot. I'm not even sure I'd ever heard that term at that time. I know I hadn't heard the term Bigfoot because it wasn't coined yet. Um, and so, at 3, they were just somebody I talked to when I went to the woods. So for me, but it was so special to her that she had seen that. And she began at that point to tell family. And if we were somewhere, I'd already written a book and had been talking at conference and things. But no matter where we were, she would say, to the person, yeah, this is my daughter Arla. Do you know she's seen a Bigfoot? And I saw I saw one too. So it was just the most awesome thing to have with her because I didn't have that connection with her growing up, but I did have my grandmother.
And she had a Cherokee background, yes?
My grandmother has Cherokee blood.
Yeah.
What my grandmother told me from the time I can remember that I had Cherokee blood. Now, I do not have a CDIB, which is a tribal enrollment number, but my grandmother said we carried Cherokee blood. But she also said, because I'm very mixed blooded, that if I dishonor any of my blood, I've dishonored it all. So to say I'm one over another would disrespect the other, even though genetically, that's how it's going to be. But that was how she felt about that. She had told me her mother was a fluent speaker, but was not allowed to speak because of the man she married. But she did not teach me either in a strictly Cherokee way. She taught me through her own experiences and what she knew herself personally.
We're going to get right back to this, but can you talk to us about what every human being is facing, especially in America today, but this goes abroad as well. We all have something called thinking or judging or knowing in a way that precludes possibility. A lot of it can be fear-based, but some of that is like 1% of 1%. We're all going to do it later today. do some thinking. It ain't going away for any of us, but we can do a little less thinking. I think an angel named Charlotte said, the Olympic gold medal for us all is 7% less thinking daily. And the last bit I'll add is if it's a bagel or a pancake, flip that pancake. That's 7% less thinking, just means 7% more here. Can you talk to us about this dynamic? Because a lot of people come into this topic or approach you or the whole topic of Bigfoot or some of the other areas, the galaxy, from a place of fear, and it's not that at all. We'll shorten the question another way. Is love the fabric of the universe?
Of course. Of course, it what brings everything together. And it also dispels fear. And fear is something that's going to stop you from understanding what it is that you're trying to figure out. Not being taught fear, I really try to understand how it is for people who are taught to fear everything. I mean, we are taught to fear retribution in the religion we are a part of. We're taught that looking at people that are different, that's a fear too. Oh my gosh, you're not like me. So I have to make you less than me because you're not like me. I have to be superior. We have got a huge epidemic of fear of loss, not having something. And that's like rampant right now, especially in this particular year. People don't want the things they have. They don't want to lose whatever, when in fact, we don't actually have these things for a very long time. They are just part of this 3D world. And in this 3D world, that fear brings about judgment. And that is something that we have to release for sure. I know Kashima told me many years ago that in order to know what I need to have in my life and things were going to come that I would look at, and that judgment thing sometimes will pop up. But what he said was, do not look at something, someone, etc., as good or bad. Ask yourself, are you compatible with that energy? So am I compatible with that energy that is being shared from that thing, that person, that event, whatever? And if I am not, I'm just to take myself from it. I'm not to try to tell everybody that's so wrong. You can't do that. You can't think like that. I am just to take myself from it. And the one thing that I've done time and time again is when those things happen, I send peace and love to that, whatever it is, whether it's a person or whatever. I'm going to send peace and love to them. It's the only thing that I can share with them that I know is going to be a positive thing for them. So, uh, but even if you go to the Bible says, "Judge not, lest you be judged." You know, you're supposed to treat other people like you want to be treated, and there are so many different thoughts of that, and so many different beliefs that tell us that same thing. We are all connected. It's an illusion to think that everything is not connected to each other, whatever it is. And so when we open our heart and we understand that we are all connected, then it doesn't make any difference what you look like, what you have, or anything else. And that fear in that space that you're in just dissolves. You don't have to fear that person because you don't understand them. You don't have to fear the Sasquatch people because you don't understand them. Yes, they're big, they're loud, they're hairy, and they look like us in ways. And so we don't have to fear that. We don't have to fear the star people. We don't have to fear loss or any of these things. When fear isn't a motive for what we do, love can step right in and guide us through that.
It really sounds like another book project, workshops, even a speaking engagement topic because you're an ace of hearts on this. I like it. I'm gonna just randomly kick out some stuff. I've been doing what I've been doing for 13 years. I know like three things. One is, and it's what you were just saying, where you put your focus is where you put your focus. How you spend your energy is how you spend your energy. And I had to write down the third thing that I've carried around forever, and I found it. Angels exist, allow for this possibility, and your answers and much more will come, plus allow for more in each moment. And angels this spring started giving their cosmic backgrounds. Not every angel is from Andromeda or wherever. Some are very cosmic across the board or domestic, planet Earth. I had one more quote for you that was what you were also just talking about. The greatest gift is allowing. All is growth and change. This is frightening for some. There's nothing to do here. Slow down the doing. Instead, breathe, smile, and relax. Appreciate all. Compassion for all is life. This is also about acceptance for all. Regard others as yourself, generously and without fixation. Believe in all. It is much simpler than people think. Again, this is because this is not about thinking, but less thinking. Open yourself up to life. Speak with us. This is a bunch of angels talking. B, can you go back to how we're always 1 second away from being fully connected to love, the universe? Only a little bit of thinking something gets in the way, and how it's that simple?
Yeah, it really is. I know for me that that space of gratitude for whatever, and if you have a hard time thinking that you really have anything to be grateful for, start simple. I got out of bed this morning. Wow, that is so cool. I had a fresh peach today. Oh, wow. That was so delicious and so cool. And just simple things that you're thankful for. And it's like this big door opens up, and then gratitude starts flowing from you. And that's where you know that you are in that space of gratitude. And gratitude is the thankfulness of the heart for this whole existence. And all of it plays in together. And one of the things, if I'm working with someone, we do a lot of gratitude work. Um, if you're not thankful for things, and it puts you in a very bad mood if you feel like, well, that wasn't very good that happened. You have to understand that there is some good in that. And you can find that good. It's there. It may not look like it when you first begin to open to try to understand what that good is, but it's there. If it's taught you something that is a positive for you, that maybe you're going to help someone else through something like that. And that's why we're here. We're here to see the love that we truly are. And we are here to support everything in this world with that love and thankfulness. I spend a lot of time in the woods. I sleep in the woods a lot. And yes, I sleep out and have been for the last several nights on my zero gravity chair, just out under the stars. And it is such a special thing to me to be able to be in a space where I can do that. I can lay there and look up at the stars, and I'm connected to the earth. And it's just this wonderful feeling of love and gratitude, for where I am. Now, that's not what everybody would want to do. Some people want to sleep in a big plushy bed in air conditioned bedroom, and that's fine too. I mean, if that feels inside you that it's a special thing for you, not about that you own that thing, but the feeling that you get from being in that space. One of the things I do every morning when I get up and I look in the mirror and greet myself and say to myself, I love you. I love you. I love who you are. And that doesn't mean that, I'm going to do everything perfect that day and not have a thought that I need to just shoosh, you go away. You don't have any part in my life. But it means that I honor and respect myself and who I am. I'll be 75 in December. And no, I don't look like I did even 10 years ago. But that doesn't matter either. And it doesn't matter with anybody. There is beauty that comes from everyone. I don't care what they look like. That's a superficial thought. That beauty just emanates from some. I mean, you can tell it when you stand beside them. If you see them walking down the street, it's like you can feel that beauty. It's not something you necessarily see with your eyes. You do with your heart eyes, but you know that beauty is there. And that's where we're coming. And Kashima had told me at one time, we were talking about how people were changing and there were more people coming into this world that were wanting to know about the Bigfoot people. And then more light workers. You were just seeing this huge growth of light workers. And I had talked with them about this. And what he said to me was, it is no longer about the quantity of light workers. It is about the quality of the light workers who are doing through their heart what they know is to be done. So we are in a time where the quality of light workers has just risen so much, and that really excites me, and I love it. I love seeing it.
Well, I think this is hilarious that I'm doing a show. It's called Angels, Positivity, and Love. And I haven't even gotten to the fun stuff where you get to talk even more about Bigfoot, Galaxy, all the rest. But you just hit on such another big, I'll call it the self-help area, but it's not that. You just hit on the heart and how we all have wisdom within and much more, a capacity to love that outshines or is beyond our density. Like mankind's density is pretty well known. I mean, just look at our thinking and our mishaps over the years, how we treat each other ourselves. But it's only exceeded by our capacity to love, which is getting unleashed. And so I wanted to mention, you mentioned looking in the mirror and saying, I love you. If anybody wanted instant, like instant soup, add water, you could just get up in the morning and look in the mirror. And if you could get to 500 times, I love you, trust me, you probably would have shed 98% of the stuff that's ever happened to you in life. You're going to go through crying. You're going to go through laughing hysterically. It'd be like an ayahuasca trip without the ayahuasca. And I would like to mention that everyone at some point in their life is shut tight like an oyster or like a walnut that needs to get cracked open by the universe. Why do you think stuff happens? You think it happens to you, but it happens for you to open you up. And there's nothing to gain and nothing to lose here. That wisdom within your ability to like listen, pay attention, be is
Yep.
there. And I had um, one more quote for you. And this is back to you then to talk to us about that. I would argue it's the most important thing. You just turned into a spiritual self-help. Let's open up and embrace life more, live more, love more, allow more guru. But here's the quote to get you launched in that final direction. Then we're going to go nitty gritty on Bigfoot, galaxy, stuff like that. A jewel buried in the earth for 1 million years is not discolored or harmed. And so a genuine heart can be brought out in anyone, anytime.
Yep. It's there for the opening.
Okay, so you get a ton of people who will call seekers or just curious and want to know about Bigfoot. Most of the stuff we see on TV is obviously fear oriented. I mean, but as a producer said who worked for Discovery Channel on this show, said, I mean, that's what sells. So unfortunately,
Yep.
that's the slant that we go in with. You can't blame anybody for doing it that way, but it's a whole different enchilada, is it not?
Yes, it is. It's I tell people all the time who come to me to try to understand what's going on. They're having these encounters and they're afraid and they don't understand, and what is this? And one of the things that we do with anything, what you put in your mind, what you feed that mind is going to translate into what you manifest, what you believe. And the encounters that I talk with people about who are afraid, it's a total misunderstanding of the nature of the Sasquatch people. It's not knowing about them. And it is, what have you put in your mind about them? Have you watched YouTube videos that tell positive stories about encounters, about healings, about all these things? Or are you going to these YouTube videos that are, one came to my house and tried to break my door down and get inside and hurt me? So, what you feed yourself is going to be the first experience that you would have with them because your mind kicks in. Okay, this is what I believe about them. I believe that they're big and they're mean and they're going to hurt us. I believe that they're actually demons that, are going to take over the world. And I've heard all of these. Or do you believe that these are a benevolent being that is here to help us? So many indigenous stories tell us that they are here to help us be better humans, literally, and to take care of this earth and take care of each other. I've talked to so many indigenous elders talking about, when you first see one, why, what could that have been? And sometimes it's just they're there telling you to be respectful. Don't live your life like you're living it. And those are very important messages for us. I camp a lot and I go with different groups and things. And this one little story, exemplifies how what you believe they are is going to color your encounter. I was down in the Kamishi Mountains. There was a group there. A young man had been talking to me during the day. He said he wasn't sure what they were. And he said that word that told me pretty much everything about what may happen to him when he does have that encounter. He said he was afraid of what they might be. So that night, about midnight, we were all sitting around the fire. And like I do sometimes, I just get up and walk off, either into the woods or down a road or whatever. That night, where we were, there was like a little one lane sandy road that went into where we were. So I was going to walk off down the road, no flashlight. There was enough moon to see. So I take off and he says, Miss Arla, can I go with you? And I said, sure, come on, come go with me. So we were just walking and talking, and then we heard heavy bipedal footsteps coming closer and closer as we walked. And down there, it's like cedar and pine and other kind of bushes and things. So it's very easy to stand behind something literally and not be seen. But as it got closer and closer, it stopped. And of course, I just stopped. It was right inside the tree line. And this young man, he grabs my arm and he said, are you afraid? And I said, no, I'm not afraid. And he grabbed me with his other arm and he said, you're not afraid? And I said, no, I'm not afraid. Are you afraid? And he was like, yes, I don't know what's happening. I don't know if it's going to do something to me.
Hmm.
And so I tried to talk with him, and it wasn't doing any good. He was already into full-blown fear. And so I just said, let's go back to the cabin and the fire. So we walked back up there. Well, if you were taking a report of this encounter, mine would be off walking down this road. I hear heavy footsteps. I'm pretty sure I know what it is. And it gets closer and closer and closer. And yes, you can literally feel their energy, but that's it. His is going to be, I'm walking off down the road. We hear heavy footsteps, and I don't know what it was. And I was afraid it was going to do something to me. The very same encounter was perceived totally different. He already said during the day, I'm not sure what they are. And I'm afraid, they would hurt me. So he had already set himself up for that encounter.
Hmm.
And so all I can do is talk with people and try to help them understand. If you don't know their nature, yes, sometimes when they're walking up close to you, you definitely feel it. You can hear it as well. But to go into that fear before just stops everything. And also tell people, if you're out and you think that they're there, talk to them. Tell them who you are. Why are you there? Like you would anyone. It's how I was taught. I just say, hi, I'm Arla, and I'm here because I love the woods, and whatever it was, I would say. And if you can't get past your fear, just leave, because you're not going to do yourself any good. You're not going to have an encounter that you would want to have because you're in that fear. And the best thing is just to leave. And that could go for anything we come in contact with that we don't know what it is. And, I hear a lot of people talk about the star people that they're coming, they're going to take over the earth, they're going to do all these things to us. And so you've got so many in fear of something that they really don't know anything personal about.
Can we go to the biggest picture for a typical audience member or somebody who's tuning into this show 2 years from now? By the way, subscribe, like, share, comment, and emojis count for comments. People are super shy on this channel. We're a very small channel, so we're very fortunate to have Arla on the show. Thank you. But the biggest picture could be, what are you allowing for daily? Are you looking at nature out your window in the kitchen every morning when you're having your tea or coffee? Hopefully you're slowing down for at least that. Why not take it outside? What are you appreciating more? What are you allowing for more? That's the rub for us all daily. How's it working out? Forget the cosmos, Bigfoot, and
Yep.
anything woo-woo-woo, spiritual
Yep.
or self-helpy. Yeah, what are you allowing for more daily? So it's what you talked about. Getting to know your own nature first, then nature, and then all the really cool galactic and domestic loving beings that are actually just here to assist you in your
Yep.
own opening up. With that, didn't you have another? And I loved that one, but I think you had another one where he's a former police officer, detective. He might have had a
Oh,
pistol on
yeah.
him, but he was really nice. And he was asked to go solo by himself. Can you tell that one? That was a good one.
Yes. I was actually having a drum workshop. I had a girlfriend who was, I think she was Ubik, and she was going to come here. She was in Washington State, and she came here and was going to teach a drum making workshop, and then give some of the teachings that she had been given. And so Richard, I had met him before and actually had been in the woods before. He wasn't overly interested in making a drum. He wanted to come here, and my thought on that and having anyone here is I have to know who you are. I don't have an open door here where just anybody can come in. This is my home. It's not because I don't want you to see uh, the Bigfoot people, because I'm not in charge of that. They are the ones who decide that. And actually, I didn't think they would be around. We had 18 people coming, a wonderful, wonderful group of people. But what happened was he was allowed to see the family that I know. And the interesting part of that for me was he had been in law enforcement and things in his life. And he had a gun that he always carried with him. It was like, his billfold, everything else that goes in your pants. And he didn't think anything about it. If I'd known he had it, I would have asked him to please leave it in his vehicle, not because I would think that he was going to shoot one or whatever, but just because. So we are on our way down to the woods, and I have what I call the circle, which is a place where I go to pray and drum and sing and dance and whatever. And on our way down there, something happens. Now, telepathy for him was like, I don't totally discount it, but I really don't know. And so as we were going down there, he heard this question in his mind, what are you doing with a gun? And he stopped, and it's going around in his mind. And he says, they asked me again, what are you doing with this gun? He said, I knew I had to tell the truth. And immediately he just started telepathing back to them why he had a gun. He'd always carried it. He had always carried it. He did not want to use it against them, or whatever. All right. Then they asked him to step away from me. And to hear his interview is really cool. It is on Flash Beauty, Paranormal Bigfoot as well. His name is Richard Taylor. Um, but that was about more than he could handle. Oh my gosh, here I am with this woman who's my protector, who's not going to let anything happen to me. And now they've asked me to step away. And I have to step away. So he did. But as we continued on down into the woods, the family was there and they began in different stages to show themselves literally to him. And he was just beside himself when that was going on. He was allowed to record. He was asked not to take videos or anything there, but he was allowed to record it. At that point, I didn't think I'd ever hear that, and really, I didn't think a whole lot about it until Al Caller, who is the father, began to do an owl call for him. And it was at that point, I think I said to him, "Did you get that?" So he was allowed something. He answered the questions right. Now, the audio of that happening through the years has helped so many people get past their fear. And that audio was done with a purpose. And that purpose is what that audio has done through the years. And now he's been able to, tell the complete story. In my interview for the Flash of Beauty, I didn't go into big details about anything. And so there's a lot that I didn't say. It wasn't what I consider my story. So I really didn't go into detail on that. But, there's been others who I've had two other people have interaction with Al Caller. Now we're talking about he's between 13 and 14 foot tall. Now, for a lot of people, that's mind blowing. And he's got a huge footprint. So it's amazing. Indigo, the young male that I've had so much interaction with, the things he's done are phenomenal. Other people have seen him here as well. His younger brother, Blue. And these are my names for them. These are not names that they already had. These are my names for them. So, for that to happen, there was a big reason, and like I said, I didn't think I'd ever hear that audio, but a couple of days after he did it, he wanted me to listen to it. And of course, I'm right back there where it's happening and, what's going on. And so it blew my mind that that they did that. And I know that, they choose to do, what they did. I knew they were going to do something. I didn't know what. And, and I don't ask them, will you show yourself to this person or that person or whatever? I don't do that. That would be very disrespectful, of me to do. And so what they do is what they choose to do, and I'm fine with that.
We'll shift just for a second. I'm going to light some sage, blow some sage smoke to you. If you want to catch flowers at home, why settle for linear sage? Not that it's not amazing. We do it on the show all the time, except for when I forget. And we've had two serious guests who gave fantastic interviews. They were smiling, they had a good time. The goal of the show is hospitality. So sage isn't for everybody, but at home, you only have to remember to set your intent. And Arla, before I say what I think setting your intent is about, this is one of the simplest things that gets overlooked daily for all of us. How would you recommend somebody set their intent at home for anything?
It needs to be pure intent. And I've got so many stories of where things manifested because I spoke something that was spoken from my heart and my higher self in pure intent. And we connect with that part of us. And there are different ways to connect with that and to speak that intent. But at the same time, you can live in that daily, moment by moment. And when that becomes how we go through our day, it's like miracles and magic are all around you, things happening, and you go, oh my gosh, how did, and this over here, and just the feeling that you have when you are connected to that. So pure intent comes from the heart connecting to your higher self, because that pure intent is not going to ask for something that is not for your higher power and good.
And I'll throw words to it because actually this will apply for the sage, and I've got a red-tailed hawk feather and a lighter. It's angels, please help me out of my head into my heart. And if it's about to be help this be the greatest cup of tea ever. Help me slow my roll in the morning to look at the woods out the window or the sky, look at some stars in the evening. Help me notice a flower during the day, or just slow my roll to can I breathe more and relax more, love more, anything. Own it with a thank you, Om Sai Ram, amen, rock and roll, whatever is your patented personal way of using your own energy. Only you can set your intent. So with that, you're about to smell some sage, Juniper Ridge, great California company. I'm not sponsored. I should be. It's, I think, in all the Whole Foods. And while it used to be $2 a sage bundle, I think it's up to 12 on Amazon, but it's still really good quality if you're worried about it. They got great incense sticks too. Okay, so I'm going to light some sage. Give yourself permission to smell, even if your schnoggin hasn't worked in years. You got a broken nose. Every doctor's told you can't smell. You can still get it. It's a vibration first. And some people taste it as I'm lighting it. That's okay. But it'll be sage smoke in a second. And then why settle for sage when you can have a triple tier tiramisu, no calories? Sage, flowers, and even ocean. Ask for some amazing beach. Ask for amazing flowers. What will you allow for, as Arlo reminds us all? And we did this before the show to be completely disclosing this. So we know it works, and we did it last time we saw each other. Arla, are you catching a little bit of sage in Oklahoma right now?
It's wonderful.
Awesome. And I think, I mean, I'm going to sound so dumb right now. You're my neighbor state-wise. I'm an East Coaster. I've only been in Texas for 14 years. But are you getting any flowers?
It's a floral, earthy smell.
Yay. And then if you don't mind going crazy with the ocean, it could be river instead, or some sort of a waterfall effect, watery, something watery that's pleasant for you. Ask your whole crew, the universe, to make it nice. That's another way to do your intent. Just be like, I don't even know what I'm asking for, but make it nice. And what do you get?
Walking in the river that I've walked in with the ancestor grandmothers.
Oh, I like that. Okay, before we do any unconditional love figures, this should have been my very first question. It would have been the first question for a lot of shows. We're just getting to it now. Talk to us about Bigfoot for a second. It's unconditional love. They are unconditional love beings, probably from somewhere else originally. Don't they have a lot of abilities? They know how to take care of themselves. They know how to take care of nature and the water, more importantly. And they love us, but it doesn't mean they're going to come running out and give you a hug in the first time you meet them. So it's totally the opposite, actually. You're going to get a lot. If you're coming in with fear, that's what you're getting. You're running the other way.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They are multidimensional, of course. They came here from the stars. From what I understand, they're all the same, with the exception that some that came here made the decision to take humans as their partners or their mates. And so you have a population of them who do have human DNA in them. You have the population of those who didn't. And then you have the ancients who were the teachers, like the medicine people, which is what Kashima is. Um, he is involved in the galactic
Mm.
universe. He is, here on the earth from time to time, but he is also busy. But he is also, I mean, I can access him at any point, if I need to, either in the physical or uh, just in that spiritual sense of being with them. So many people have bad encounters, and like I said earlier, that encounter is created by that person by what they think, and that's what we do. One of the interesting things that Kashima had told me about what happens when one comes to you to either work with you. Now, there are varying degrees of teachers, those that work personally with humans as well. And what happens when they come to you? They come to you within your beliefs and thought process at that time. And you have the choice to release things that don't help you to connect to that heart, to who you really are. Um, but if you are open to release things that are brought to you, and they're brought to you in thoughts, in books, in watching a commercial on TV, things can be brought to you in any way. And once your relationship is established, you can talk with them about these things, or you can hold on to those things and create your reality at that point with them. One of the stories I tell is about a man that I was working with. He didn't like people much. He felt like that people had always been rude to him. They wouldn't let him do or talk like he wanted to, and he basically was a victim of other people. And as he was working with this teacher, there were things being brought, but he just wasn't willing to give up how he felt. So he told me one day when we were talking, he said, "Did you know that they are amassing numbers?" And I said, "Amassing numbers? What? Explain, what you're talking about." He said, "Oh, yes, they are amassing numbers now, and they're going to take over the humans. And I'm going to be okay because I'm going to be standing with them." Now, he had the opportunity in working with this teacher to release all that and to get past that, all that, and come in to a total different perspective of who he was, what he thought, how he felt, but he couldn't do it. And so his reality was that that was what's going to happen. And so he was telling everybody, this is what's going to happen. So when we begin to work with them, and for everybody who's ever come to me to talk with me, and I don't ever tell anyone what they have to do. We talk, and it's very much like when my grandmother talked to me. It's allowing them to come to their understanding. And I tell them, you think that you come into this to learn about them, and you truly will. But what you're going to learn more about is who you are and how you're coming into this and how you accept who you are. So you think you're going to learn about them, and you do, but you learn a whole lot more about yourself if your heart's open to do that.
And that's the same with every loving being of the universe. It could be or even your passed over loved ones, fairies,
Yes.
jinn or elementals, angels and cosmic beings. Can you go broader picture? I'll ask it a dumb way, but there's no dumb question. Have you met fairies before? Have you seen a fairy before? Can you kind of paint the picture for us how big this universe really is?
Oh my gosh. It would take more time than we've got. Yes, I very well know the fairies. I actually have a recording of a fairy talking to me. And how that happened was when I come back to my cabin in 2020 to heal after a really bad wreck. Uh, a pair of hawks had nested right next to my cabin, and I got to watch them daily. And then when the young one was hatched out and he got bigger, I got to watch them bring food, talk to him. And then as he got bigger and began to get up on the side of the nest, I could see him to talk to him. And I saw some of the coolest things during that time. There was a little titmouse bird, and the little titmouse would come and sit right there with that little hawk. And you would think, well, how would that happen? Well, it did happen. And, I got, of course, there are teachings in most everything. Um, but what he had fledged, and he would come around and fly, and I would get videos of him. So the fairies had even been doing specific things to get my attention. And I think I just wasn't giving them as full of the attention that I normally did. I was so involved with this little hawk. And so one morning I'm out filming up into the trees, and I hear this little voice say, "Look up at me." And I'm like, oh my gosh, the fairies. I I just, I was like, oh, I am so sorry. I see you, talking to her then. But they're as part of my life, the little people. They're as much a part of my life um, as, my daughter and family are. All of these beings, dragons, there are so many beings out there that we just totally pushed from our beliefs and thoughts about them. And one of the sad things that happened along those times when humans started doing this, negative stories started being told about them. And you still see that today where there's so many movies that take those beings and make them into something that they're truly not. And the only way that you can access who they truly are is to see them through your heart and accept that that's what it is.
There's a lot of contrast, that's for sure. And I love this quote. It's from a Netflix film, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I forgot which one. In the end, love is what shows us life in different colors. So hopefully that'll be enough to put a band-aid on all the contrast for how fairies are portrayed. I'll put up a couple photos of angels. These are actual photos. Call them interdimensional if you want. They'll move if you wish. Catch a flower smell, get an answer. But Arla, if you would, there'll be a reminder maybe for us if you want to share that out loud, if you want to keep it personal, do it whichever way you want. Definitely at least get a hug. But I do have a couple photos of fairies, and I want to put those up in a second. Here's the very first angel people meet, Joy. She's very cosmic. She's like love, but a little like tinker at a little higher vibe. And what's Joy have as a reminder for us all?
That joy comes from love. And when we get into joy, when we are joyful, we can't be full of gloom and doom and everything's different. And fear and joy are totally not compatible at all. And, there are several things that we think about that can just bring us to that heart space and connecting with that.
You can't be half pregnant, or as Wayne Dyer would put it, you can't take a nice hot shower and be upset at the same time, unless the hot water heater cut out and you're suddenly cold water. Okay, here's Charlotte, an angel who said in the spring, March, she's got an Orion background, which I thought was really interesting. But she's one of my business managers. She's very nice, a teacher. And she's older, been around the block, I'll put it that way. What are you getting from Charlotte as a reminder for us all?
Every teacher is a student. And you can't be a teacher unless you understand that at the same time that you're teaching, you're also being a student. Everything I've ever taught in my life, regardless of what it was, I learned from those students as well. And every teacher understanding that they are still a student it's such a wonderful place to be, because it gives me the joy to know that when I'm teaching something, I'm going to learn something too.
Love that. And it reminded me, angels come in all shapes, sizes, colors, and all sorts of backgrounds with all sorts of skills here to help us, just allow. But they also said they're still learning from us, which I thought was incredible. From our perspective, yeah, it's going to look pretty like they know it all, but they're still learning too. That's growth and expansion. Here's one more angel, or maybe one more photo after that, but she's a Pacific princess, light waves of energy and water, Min, like Minnesota, Lakota Sioux word for water, and a professor, but she said Sirius as her origin story, not trying to be too serious, like Andromeda, Orion, blah, blah, blah. My guardian angel, but also Dr. Karen Wyatt's guardian angel in episode 110, August 30th. And as a little girl, she met her in more of a Hallmark movie version. Little girl tucked into bed, 8, 9, or 10, sees an angel in white at the foot of her bed. And from that moment on, she knew she wanted to be a physician. And I'll mention real quick, in that story, she tells it beautifully. She's at med school, maybe doing the rounds, but when they collect everybody, like a coach talking to the football team, and this is their first day, maybe, she tells the story better. But the big doctor is like, why are you all here? And she's like, love. And she said something grandiose, and the whole place reacted like she had just said, bomb in the place. So she learned to clam up a little, but it came out over time. Doctors were coming to her over the decades. How do you do it? She had a presence. And then I've got to mention it at the end. She got to run into her guardian angel in human form on Redondo Beach, California, for 30 minutes, sparkly-eyed human. So what will you allow for? Put it out there. Go small. Hey, I could just use some more humor, nice people during the day. But if you want to go big, go big. Like Arla knows all about this. What does this soft-spoken professor have as a reminder for us all?
To always be fluid.
And just because they're different shapes, 4 archangels one way, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel. What do they got for us?
They got our back.
Now I've been waiting this whole time to get to fairies. I got 2 fairies for you, and we'll maybe do one extra step that we haven't done yet. Here's Ginger the fairy. Oh, and I better show. And she's a sweetie. I always say she's 14 years old and a little more mature. And what does she have as a reminder for us?
Ah, to laugh, just to laugh.
And that's her
Oh,
another way. And then I always say this next one's more au naturel.
mm,
Okay, and then Tinkerbell. This, I mean, it takes me 2 years to do what a lot of guests do on the show like that. I'm slow on the uptake, but I'm a fast teacher. Uh, so Tinkerbell, she exists. Took me 6 months to get over it, but I do that for Plato, Native American chiefs. They're next. And here's a photo of Tink, and she's a lot of fun. Got it. She chose merriment and assistance as her sort of summary of what she's all about. Here's Tink one way, side profile. And if you want to catch rainbow glitter in the room around you, I didn't do it, and you're not going to have to vacuum later. She'll make a lot of light around you. And what are you getting from Tink?
she has always, for me, taught me about family and how what family really is. Even though most people see Tinkerbell as this little fairy on Walt Disney or whatever, um, she has always, for me, been about family and acceptance of a family, regardless of if you're a fairy or you're a dragon or whatever.
I love it. And I'm going to add, hey, you could be an astrophysicist in the middle of working on your gravitational pull formula. You could still ask a fairy a question. They're not like limited. It ain't just out of the Disney movies. You can ask them anything, and they're pretty savvy. So, and they'll definitely know how to get your attention. You're over a bowl of cereal in the morning. You're not really paying attention. You haven't woken up yet. Tink will definitely show up and be like, "I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here," until you do the acknowledgement. Okay. Couple Native American chiefs. I'm gonna let you pick somebody, and that'll be it. We'll get back to a normal interview. But here's Dull Knife, wisdom with some humor, like a mountain range, super cool. But if you want, I'm not lighting anything. If you want to catch one of those 50 sacred scents, tobacco, sweetgrass, juniper, sage, Douglas fir, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What are you getting in the air, and what are you getting from Dull Knife?
It would be sage grass, which has a different, distinct smell than the white leaf sage.
And what's his reminder for us all?
To be aware of what you take within your body.
Two more Native American chiefs, and then we'll start to wrap it up. Red shirt, gentlest mom in the world, compassion, compassion, compassion. Lakota Sioux chief wearing a U.S. presidential medal. Day after the photo was taken, horseback, Pennsylvania Ave. I think Teddy Roosevelt was the president. He and Geronimo were in that parade. He's a sweetie. I love him.
His would be about making relationships in the heart.
And last but not least, he steals the show. Great sense of humor, lightning like cat like reflexes, pure action, dry wit humor. But he could be like a Marine Corps drill sergeant if you come in too hard about this. He knows exactly what your next move could be. And I'll do one last quote. He said once to a person, ride, ride, ride. Don't look left. Don't look right. Don't look back. It took me a couple weeks of running before I was like, he's not talking about riding a horse. He's talking about your heart. And I thought that was pretty. Geronimo.
There was a lot of compassion in him. Um, Trying to figure out two totally different worlds that they weren't working together. And yet there was such a compassion for his people that whatever he was going to stand in, that energy. I've walked in some of the places Geronimo has walked here in Oklahoma. And yeah, he's a name that you could say Geronimo, and most people are going to know, oh, wow, that was a Native American chief. Yeah, wasn't he in this movie or wasn't he in this, So the interesting thing is the teaching continues on for any of the ancestors who have actually walked this earth, regardless of what they are
And
on.
you hit on the last big topic, which is the only topic in a way: compassion, gentleness, kindness, love. Um, how can we grow all of that plus our awareness and less thinking, but maybe put it in terms of your experiences with the hairy people, or what can people come to you about in the future for your workshops, or just any which way you want to address this, or just a little more of this, a little less this?
Well, there's been several things Kashima has said to me through the years about us humans. And true, some of us are star seeds and, only a part human, but here as this human. Um, and it is to um, sit with your words. He had said to me one time, humans love their words. And we have to have all of these words to express something that can't even come close to expressing what's in the heart and what the heart's got to say.
Did you
And
just describe science by any chance?
probably. So, yeah, it's about respecting yourself. He also said, humans don't respect the earth, they don't respect the water, they don't respect the air, they don't respect each other. But the worst is they don't respect themselves. And to truly respect yourself, you have to see yourself through your heart, not with what you see always in the mirror, not what you see that somebody says you are or anything else. That respect comes from the heart. And if you have that respect for yourself, you're not going to disrespect anything else. And those are such important things. In the beginning, when I came into the Bigfoot world of people out there trying to prove that they existed, which when someone told me there was a research world, I was like, oh, you're kidding me. Why in the world would people be researching something that has existed, forever? Um, but it is in coming to that and understanding more about that heart and where that heart is supposed to be in this. And he talks about a knowing that we are going to come into this knowing. And that knowing is connecting with that heart. When you're connected totally to that heart, then there's a knowing that comes over you that is the most wonderful feeling. You cannot explain how that feels. And that can be accessed in many ways. It can be accessed through meditation, it can be accessed in other ways. Vibrationally, going into the vibrations and the higher vibrations that actually affect us, our physical body, our spiritual body, going into those and releasing everything else. It's like you go into this fourth dimension, you raise your vibration, and those dimensions are consciousness. They're not a physical place that we're going to go. We're not going to leave the earth and go to the fourth dimension or the fifth or whatever. But when you see things happening, you're not judgmental about something. You see something that happens, and what you do is you have compassion and love for every person or thing that has happened. You put that love and compassion over that. You don't immediately judge it. When you see yourself doing those things, you are in that fourth dimension. I call it the vacation from the third dimension. It's where I can go easily. I can slip into that. And then all of this turmoil is not there. I'm not feeling it. And then you can even go into the fifth dimension as well. And the times that I have been there, yeah, words don't exist. But
One plus
you
one
know,
equals 111.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, there and all of these teachings, the Sasquatch hold these teachings. They remember, they didn't walk away from all of the teachings. The star people haven't walked away. This human learning existence in this three-dimensional consciousness is the only place that those things exist. Judgment. If you find yourself in judgment, acknowledge it and just say, okay, I understand that that is a 3D thing and I want to release that. I don't want to feel that judgment. I don't want to see that judgment. I don't even want to know what judgment is. I'm apart from that. And these are part of the teachings that all of these wonderful beings, galactic and otherwise, that are coming now in more numbers, and more people are accepting that. And yeah, that makes me really happy.
I forgot to ask about the galactic stuff. That's coming next in a second, but a quick one on Kashima. Is he this is gonna be another one of those technical, tactical and practical questions. Is Kashima now more on the other side than physical presence? Is he the one that you talked about with the light and was it a photograph fading a little or the light coming in more, shining more? I'm forgetting everything here, but is he more not transitioned, but just spending more time cosmos wise and a little less physical? Did I get that right?
He is physical when the need be for him to be physical.
Yeah.
Can I still walk with him in the physical sense? Yes, I can.
Okay.
Um, he is busy with so many things now, as things have changed. But he's always there, and I know he is. And if the need be for him to be in the physical, then yes, he would be.
And here's the craziest question. You'll have never gotten it in any other show, even in the next 10 years. I'm making a wild prediction. Was Chewbacca put into Star Wars to make sure we love our fellow hairy people? Here's two angels to kick it into gear. Joy and Charlotte. No accidents, right?
That's a question that a lot of people have said. Did
Oh,
he
okay.
really know about that? Um, what about Harry and the Hendersons?
Yes.
That movie. Oh my gosh, that movie was in a time when we were really not talking about them a lot, not like we are now. And what on earth? They brought him in as this wonderful, benevolent being who was funny and who took us past our fears of what man thinks they are. And yeah, so one of the things, and I'm sure you know this too, our media brings us lots of truths as well as not truths. We are the ones who decide, okay, man, they said that. Now, whoa, that's a lot deeper than how it was said. And that, like I was talking, a question can come, or an answer of something that you've been thinking about in a commercial, and it has nothing to do except maybe one little part of it. And it's like it goes ping. Oh, that's what that was. That's now I understand. So our universe is working so hard to get our attention to understand what truly is going on.
Arla, I got a product suggestion for you, something that could sell. You should have Arla's emergency camping kit, a secret wrapped. You only break glass, except no glass. You only unwrap it when you first sense that you might be in trouble. You're panicked about Bigfoot. It's Arla's kit. And when you do open it up, it even comes with a flashlight so you can read the words breathe, relax,
Yeah.
be at peace, find your heart, and reach out through your heart. You could get a lot of sales that way. Can we
Oh
go
my
to the
goodness.
galactic component of all this? Because that's not a lot, and it's a lot. We've been conditioned in all directions with Star Wars, Star Trek, you name it. In a way, Star Trek with Captain Kirk in the 1960s, Spock, that's actually the galactic community visiting different planets, and we're the poor chumps on the planet that they're trying not to interfere with Prime Directive. And so there's all sorts of beings out there of all different types, but it really is a loving crew. You could find bad stuff if you want to look for it, but just trust you're protected if you need to hear it that way. You've had a lot of experience with this. You have a very mature way to do it. I'm always a little humorous and enthusiastic, so you're much better skilled to talk about this. So can we get you talking about there's sort of a sea change going on. There's a lot of love flooding in consciousness, but how do you describe all this?
Oh, it's the icing on the cake for me. It's that thing that brings us to the place that our souls have strived to understand. A lot of people ask me about disclosure. What's going to happen, when we have disclosure? Well, what's going to happen is we're going to know whatever we're told. And is that going to tell you anything about who these galactic neighbors are? No, it's not. Is it going to say, well, there was this little green man that they had a body of? Is that going to tell us what we need to know about them? No, it's not going to tell you anything except that was the physical form that being chose. Why do we have it? Well, why do we have anything? It's for learning and understanding and getting past ourselves. The majority of the people that I talk to about disclosure say, and this goes true for proving that the Bigfoot people actually exist through science. Well, I can tell so and so that I was right and that they was wrong. They want this validation of what they experienced to be proven. And that's not what this is about. We don't have to prove anything by science to know what's going on or who these beings are.
And that's the way we invented nuclear bombs, polluted the planet, and all the thinking in the world isn't what this is about. It's about less thinking to almost full stop thinking for at least 5 minutes. I had to interrupt.
Yeah, no, fine. And that's the thing. We overthink the majority of things we think about. And that's something else I've told people through the years with star people as well as the Sasquatch people is don't discount something that you think has happened. If you see them do something and you don't believe that that can't happen, don't discount it. Just file it away. And if you think you heard something, don't say to yourself, oh my gosh, I just thought I heard something. I must have been imagining that. I'm not telling you that you have to believe exactly that that's, one of the star people or the Sasquatch people, but don't discount it because you don't know at that time. I believe that you will know. And if your heart, not just your mind, says, whoa, that's what that was, then you trust that. Trust that that's what that was. And the interesting thing that happened that I saw through the years of doing this is that people had experiences, they didn't talk about them. And here I come into this world of people believing they're an undiscovered ape. And I'm talking about families and sentient beings and them doing all of these things. There are people that are saying, oh my gosh, that happened to me. I heard something like that. I saw something like that. And it wasn't just me. Every person that started sharing was helping someone else understand something that had happened to them. And if we choose not to share things that are going on, we are missing the possibility that someone would be helped by what we share.
And in a way, science and thinking reduces the miracle of life, the miracle of love, the miracle of the moment, the interconnectedness
Yep.
of all to something that can just be controlled and then,
Yep.
yeah, tossed aside. This is the whole seeking thing. It's cool. Thinkers have got to do what they're doing. Science has got to do what it's doing. Everyone's doing their part one way or the other. It's just sort of a crawl or 1 mile an hour speed. And also, it's kind of akin to trying to hand out speeding tickets in the middle of the Indianapolis 500. I mean, it's you could just
Yes.
actually listen and have an experience. With that one final area, if we picked a galactic compadre, uh, Joy and Charlotte are here with backgrounds. I mean, they're broad. Angels are more loving beings, if you want, or beings of light. There's light beings, but we also have Pleiadians, Lyrans, Andromedans. I don't know how to say anybody from Orion, so I'll just say folks from Orion. Are they Orion? I never got that far. Syrians, not like the country of Syria or Jordan or Iran or Iraq, but Syrians. Can we get a suggestion? Which we'll have one volunteer as an Arcturian. Who do you want to have come in? A Lyrian, Arcturian, a Pleiadian, an Andromedan, an Orion person?
Well, the Arcturians were the first ones who
Okay.
came and began to talk with me. I worked with them several years ago on something that I was doing. And in what I'm doing with them, sharing the light code activation video, the Arcturian was the one that came in first and began to talk with me. The Arcturian was the one orchestrating that the light codes in that video I took. There was an Arcturian there orchestrating this quantum energy so that it could be seen. Now, there are others that I have worked personally with on different levels about different things. And I'm not going to say they are better or they are who they are. They're very high dimensional beings, compassionate, loving, supportive. Um, and they are so accept what it is to be human and how we portray that. They are so accepting of us and have this want to help us. And that comes from what kind of beings they are: love, compassion, um, and the others that I've worked with. I've been on with Sirius and on Sirius before, but I've been many places and come from many places. Um, the Ascended Masters, some of them, oh my gosh, their love. Uh,
I'll put up
but
a couple photos in a second, and I'm going to take a stab at an Arcturian description that'll make you laugh, I hope. Remember Spock in the 1960s had the chessboard that had 3 levels. An Arcturian
mhm.
chessboard would have like 1,500 levels, and there's no grasping it. We don't even have a ship big enough to carry the chessboard. And then
No,
lastly, I was in the pool last year. Not every day I tried, sometimes 3 times in a day. My homework assignment last year, this year, was to like just be in the pool, look at the light waves of energy moving around, relax, chill, enjoy the pool. And so, of course, I got this one question popping around forever because I'm human and I'm like, I'm not like the Woodstock, really relaxed, chill 50, 60-year-old person who's just got it. They just get spirituality. They're like, cool. I mean, I'm a fast teacher, but I am a slow learner on the uptake. So I'm in the pool, I'm asking the same question all over again. And Arcturians can hack human humor. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This is the answer I got. He sort of, the whole crew put him forward and he's like, Mike, we've seen the last page of your story, meaning for this lifetime. And his whole meaning was you got thousands of loving cheerleaders. You're loved. You're supported. Nothing's going to go wrong. You're good. And he was like, relax. Like it was like that, not James Taylor, Bob Dylan, like a Bob Dylan song, relax. And he was really funny about it. I'm going to put a drawing from Wikipedia that's probably the most common drawing of an Arcturian. He says it's 5 or 6% too bulbous in the back. I'll show it, but then I'll slide it up
yep.
a little to chop it off. Um, can you share with us one thing from him to all of us as a reminder for living life and loving and allowing more?
No, one of the things that they have talked to me about humans is that we continually beat ourselves up. We literally are constantly saying something in a negative tone about ourselves. And they don't carry any of these attributes that we do. They are long past that. Um, and the interesting thing to understand too about them is they don't need ships to go anywhere. They can just be. And that's what we have to learn to do, is just be and not let all of this outside stuff, go on. Just let it be, and see yourself. And when you say bad things to yourself, catch yourself and say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I said that and I'm releasing that." Kashima had asked me years ago to take hate from my vocabulary. Now, I never used hate against other people. But what I found was I would do something and I would say, "Oh, I hate that I did that." And one day he just stopped me and asked me, he said, "How do you feel when you say that?" And I stopped and I thought about it. And it wasn't a very good feeling, that how I was feeling about something I was doing. And so he asked me to take that from my vocabulary as a verb. And so, I do talk about hate, but I do not activate that word and make it something that I would use. And the most important thing, and that's for all of us, is to let that go when we use it. Any negative connotation that we use against ourselves, not only hurts us, but hurts everybody else as well, because we've put that energy out, whether we're directing it at ourselves or to others. And that's something that we have to remember. What kind of energy are you putting out? Are you putting all this chaotic energy out? You're going to put that out, well, it's going to turn around and come right back to you as well. So learning, and I think the Arcturians are so wonderful at helping us understand how to raise our consciousness, our vibrational consciousness. And one of the things that I was told about the light code activation video was, if you are in the space of curiosity, of wondering about these codes, and you're not in that, oh, this is a bunch of, somebody was out there doing that or whatever, but just in an open look at what's going on, it can raise your consciousness, whether you realize it or not. And the main thing that this video is to do is to help raise the consciousness of humanity. Now, who better to orchestrate that, to bring those lights and that energy than an Arcturian?
And Angel, I don't ask too many big picture questions like who killed Kennedy, or when an angel named Charlotte showed up at a Starbucks in human form, staring at me the whole time. I'm meeting with a book editor. It's like 10 years ago. In my mind's eye or memory, it was like 200 feet away, but obviously no Starbucks is that big. And she's sipping the coffee the whole time. I asked, when they're human, in human form, did they drink the coffee? The answer was yes. So I did ask one big picture question once of an angel named Dale, who was a coached a famous gymnast. Was not an easy task, who won a lot of golds, we all know, from the 70s or 80s. I asked how quick, if mankind wanted to pay attention, really for all its big talk and everything else, if it wanted to like open up and be more love and consciousness, how quick? And he said 3 hours. And I was like, whoa, that's a lot. That's fast. That's if we all wanted to pay attention. With that, I like to try to, if you're playing around, if when you spoke, it turned into a harpsichord vibration, like a really low vibration, if you're like, oh, I hate that postal worker, or this food is, oh, and then if you were like, oh my God, I love that woman's hairstyle, and I just complimented the person, and it's a positive vibration, and
Yeah.
you saw light that goes with it, rainbow light when you compliment, or I don't want to pick on a color, but red light, let's say, if it's bad, or dark light. Very quickly, people's behavior would be shaped into being more accountable and aware of how you're flowing your energy. With that, I'm leading into this something I, again, totally forgot. I'll show my light, Arla. You don't have to show yours, but see what you see flowing between my fingers, and then ask the universe, Arcturians, angels, fairies, to do something extra that you know is not my light. This will be from Celestine Prophecy, but as another guest said, they were doing that in the 70s before the film was made. And in India, they do it this way. You get a dad joke, most importantly. Santa's reindeer, Blitzen Dancer. You've heard it before, but I suspect you'll laugh. Blitzen and Dancer, just those two. Why do they drink so much coffee? Because they're Santa's, Starbucks. And then whatever light you see between my finger, fantastic. It'll be white, gold, green, yellow, a filament of light. What color do you see between my fingers?
It's a chartreuse.
And then do you mind asking the universe for extra, like hearts, butterflies, some sparkles, a vortex of light? Somebody got a portal. They've gotten, what are they called? Phoenixes. But you know it's not my light. It's the angels coming in, or beings of light, jacking the situation here. Anything extra?
I'm watching the wave. Oh my gosh, there are so many lights, and it's not light like you switch on a light. It is a light that's illuminates everything, but not a light that you switch on.
And then a final thing. When we first talked, I don't think I did this. I was told this year to use my hands more. So instead of this, I'm actually using my hands. So I'm going to put my hand up in Texas and neighborly state, Oklahoma. You'll put your hand up, but only love and above, not my bill paying side or my thinking side in 1 hour from now. So just can you say what you're feeling? And I'm going to whoosh you 3 rainbow light whooshes. It's really Arcturians, angels, light beings doing the whooshing. But do you mind feeling with your hands what you feel, or your whole person? You can be the hand. What do you feel?
The the vibrations of stillness.
And, that's way above my pay grade. So I'm taking no responsibility for this. I'm just letting go a little, having fun. And I'm going to whoosh 3 times, low, medium, and big. But if you just want to go 3 bigs in a row, you're fine. Think of it as a 1970s stereo component, those really cool receivers that had the cool wheels that just a millimeter and it's like a Rolls Royce. That's all you have to do is turn up your heart volume. This is the universe kicking in. My hand's going to be like hitting an invisible ping pong ball. People can feel it the front, the back, wherever, get whooshed in the room. And if you're absolutely cray cray, ask for Disney CGI sparkles all around you, whatever your heart will allow for. Go big. Here comes the first whoosh. I've got a microphone down below. I'm going to blow Hawaii your way. Catch a little sea spritz on your nose. And Arla, how was that? Or how about them apples?
They were warm, with an edge of tingliness.
Okay, now medium, one of these figures is going to want to, like, Tink might want to jump in and do extra rainbow light. Who knows? You'll let us know. Here comes a medium one. And was that like switching to white wine from red wine?
I heard a roar.
But whoa, there are a lot of different types of roars. Big wave, a waterfall, a lion. Or I'll get a help.
All of the above. All of the above.
No one's ever gotten that. Okay, well, I'm afraid on the go home, go big, that expression. You're already home. Let's go big. Put my hand back up. Here, ask Joy to privately grab 1,000 celestial loving beings. I'm trying to work that word celestial in since the beginning. I keep forgetting it. I did it. I checked my box. Ask them all to kick it into gear like the end of the Broadway show, because that's technically what this has been. A lot of fun. Here comes the big whoosh, up and down, in and out, multidimensional. Have fun. What will you allow for? Here it comes. Catch a light show on your eyelids if they're shut. And at home, if you need help, just ask for angels to get you out of your head, into your heart. Let them do their jobs.
There are strands of light that are coming across that are like waves, but it's light, and there is. I'm sweating.
So sorry.
But I'm feeling cool at the same time.
Almost like a peppermint patty commercial, but without the wind. That was fun. Look, I went way over. I'm so sorry about that. But on the other hand, I wouldn't want to change a thing. Can you cap this out? You've done so many like real big shows, formal ones. And so you know how to close a show out. There's a reminder for everyone. And I'm going to put one angel up named Harmony. She's rainbow light, not maybe the best photo, but hey, I got lucky in the first place. She's tranquility. She chose tranquility. Don't ask me why. There's a faith, a hope, a joy. Who else? Grace, if I didn't say that. What's Harmony got as a reminder? And you've got a reminder for us. It's the big picture reminder. The $1 million, we better make it bigger. $100 million reminder.
Harmony is a place of peace where when everything is in harmony with each other, whatever, we are synced together in a remarkable a peace that it's like you're multiplied. I'm multiplied through everything, and I am totally connected, and everything is in this harmony of peace. Anything can come to us through harmony because harmony activates who we really are.
Bravo, Arla. I don't have much to say except this has been Angels Positivity and Love. And Arla, you've been a fantabulous guest. I got to thank you for sharing everything with us. I love when you talk, and I'd really encourage people to see. I think it's called Flash of Beauty. I always mistake the name, but people have to
Flash
check
of
out.
Beauty,
Yeah, and I'll put that link.
Paranormal Bigfoot. Okay.
Yeah, I'll put that link.
And I'm sorry, my YouTube channel is just Arla Williams. You will find the light code video there. You will find a deeper explanation of that. And then you'll find me just being Arla.
Yeah. And when people check out that video, it is so heartfelt, so quick. You could take all 10,000 from In Search of with Leonard Nimoy in the 70s, which I was exposed to when I was a little kid. I was born in 68, to all the thousands and tens of thousands of programming. And then you could take Arla's one talking about it and it equals out. There's a lot of love with Arla talking about the topic, and you don't have to have the fear.
Nope.
Arla, thank you for doing your journey really on behalf of all of us. You're amazing, and hopefully we'll get you back on the show in the future.
All right. Thank you so much for such a joyful day.
Thank you, Arla.
All right. Bye.